Alright, video number 6. How's everybody doing? Alright. Once again, I'm driving in the Chiba countryside. Just had a great birthday. My birthday was yesterday. I just turned 39. So I was celebrating with my friends in Tokyo last night. So we went out and had a good time in a place called Nakameguro, which I've never been there before. Yeah, it was a good time. But I haven't made a video, probably, it's been a little bit over a week. I want to say it's been like 8 days, 7 or 8 days, right around the week. I'll roll these windows up. So yeah, it's been about a week. And something really interesting happened last Friday. Not this past Friday, but 1 week ago. Right? It was Friday, right? Yeah, it was Friday. Went to work, came home. It was raining quite a bit, and I'm like, I had already told my friend there's a restaurant that he told me about that I really wanted to go to. I was like, why don't we go there together? And he's like, oh, I'm actually going there tonight. So I was like, oh, like, I don't want to impose if, you're going there with other people. He's like, no worries. Like, come with us. Come hang out. So I decided to go. And this was earlier in the day. And as the evening went on, it was raining. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go out if it's raining and everything. Let me adjust this a little bit. Yeah, if it's raining and everything, I don't really feel like going out and whatever. But I'd already told him that I was going to go. And I've decided that I'm not going to, like, flake out anymore. If I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it. So I'm practicing doing that now. So I ended up going out that night. It was a cool little izakaya, little bar. If you've ever seen this show on Netflix called Midnight Diner, it looks very similar to that. Like that kind of vibe. It was really cool. Really cool. So we get there, it's me, my friend, his wife, her sister, and then our other friend. And we go in and it's like elevated. When you walk in, it's kind of elevated, like sitting area. And it's called tatami. Tatami mats, it's kind of like straw mats that you sit on. And it's very nice. And then like lower tables. So it's kind of old school Japanese style. And we're going in there, we order some drinks. This place is really known for their ume wine, their plum wine. So everybody's ordering drinks. And so we get our drinks. It's just our table. There's another table with some ladies sitting there. And I'm like, they're a little bit older. I'm like, oh, it's a nice quiet atmosphere. So we're just enjoying each other's conversation. And then 2 bigger guys like walk in and they sit down at the table with the ladies. And I'm like, okay, yeah. There's other people here, it's no problem. And so we're just enjoying our conversations and stuff. We're speaking English and all this other stuff. I have my drink. I ordered non-alcoholic beer, but they didn't have any, so I just got normal beer. So I'm just drinking my beer, having conversations, laughing. We're probably talking a little bit loud, but not too loud. And then I just look up and connect eyes with one of the other guys at the other table, and he just looks at me, and he gives me a thumbs up, and I just like give him a thumbs up, and I just shout out, "Kanpai!" And he's like, "Kanpai!" Kanpai means like cheers in Japanese. And so we just kind of joking back and forth, across the room, even though our tables are right next to each other. And yeah, this guy is funny. You can tell he likes to have a good time. So we're just talking back and forth. He's asking me questions in Japanese. Like, oh, do you like Japanese food? And I'm like, I love Japanese food. I love Japan. I love everything about Japan. And he's like, oh wow, this is really cool. So it's just like back and forth a little bit, every few minutes or so. And then, like we exchange names, and he's like, oh, Niku, sugoi. Like, you're very funny. You're really cool. I'm like, all right, cool. And we're just having fun, having a good time, and we're eating our food, delicious food, like fried chicken. They have like really good salads with fresh vegetables sliced up, fresh fish. Like the owner is like sending us free food, which is sometimes if you have like a larger group, they'll do that just to be nice, which is really cool. So yeah, we're there maybe an hour or so, and we're getting ready to leave. So now our tables are kind of like one big group now, I guess, because me and this other guy kind of brought our tables together, and everybody's just talking back and forth. I just like tell the guy like, oh, I just moved here about 3 months ago, just living in the area, and he's like, oh, we gotta go get yakitori sometime, and I'm like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, there's a really good shop close by, and so we're like, it's time for us to go. We're like wrapping up our conversation. We go to pay our bill, and the guy gets up and he turns around and he starts taking off his shirt, and he shows us he has like a whole back tattoo, which in Japan, that only means one thing. Like, either this guy is Yakuza or he used to be Yakuza. And I was like, oh my god, I just made friends with this guy. Told him that, like, I live in this area, so he lives in this area probably too. I'm like, oh man, like, am I gonna start owing favors to like the Japanese mafia? Like, I don't want to owe favors to them. So he's a really nice guy, and then like a big twist at the end of this story. And so, oh man, I was so surprised. And then, and another thing too, like he orders me a drink. So this place, they have their plum wine. They also had yuzu. Yuzu is a Japanese citrus, which is really good. So they have yuzu wine, and then a blueberry wine. And he ordered me this blueberry wine, and they brought it into a glass. They brought me a glass, poured it into a glass. It's so strong. It was extremely flammable. I'm glad there weren't any candles in this place, because if you drink this next to an open flame, stuff's gonna go down. Anyways, he's like, I'm ordering you one. I'm like, abunai. Like, that means dangerous, right? Like, I've already had probably 3 or 4 beers at this time, which that I'm okay, but if I drink anything more, if I mix this alcohol, like, it's not gonna be good. But he orders it anyway. And it's like, oh, now you have to drink it, And at this point, when he ordered me the drink, I didn't realize he was Yakuza. He didn't show me his tattoos yet. And so I'm just like, oh, he ordered me a drink. I don't want to be rude. So I'm like pouring it into other people's glasses at my table. I'm like, you guys got to help me drink this. So dude ordered me a drink. Find out he's a Yakuza. And I'm just like, oh shit. So anyways, he's a nice guy. I've never seen him since. Fingers crossed I don't start having to do, odd jobs for the local Chiba City Mafia. Anyways, funny story, good times. Yeah, so that happened last week. And then, I've just been traveling around too, and just been practicing my social skills. This was another thing too, kind of plays into what I've been practicing for myself, and like self-growth, self-improvement, self-help, if you want to say that. I'm always hesitant to say self-help, but I am helping myself, but I'm also improving. Anyways, doesn't matter. All 3 of those things, self-help, self-improvement, and the other one that I said that I forgot. So I've been practicing just starting conversations with strangers in public, and if I'm out, sometimes people just start a conversation with me. I think they can just kind of sense it, maybe. I don't know. So I was just traveling around. I went to a place called Katsura, which I made a video too. So if you look at my shorts, there's a video of Katsura too. It's like the statue and the ocean. It's a very beautiful place. When I was making that video, I actually met a lady and her son at that area, around that area. she was just looking at the flowers. I was just standing there looking at the ocean. I'm like, man, this is so beautiful. And we she just like looked at me. We made eye contact, and then she just shows me a flower and she tells me the name in Japanese. And I can't remember what it was, but anyways, we just start, strike up a conversation talking about like flowers, and it was recently cherry blossom season. So I told her, it was like, oh yeah, in this area they have very beautiful cherry blossoms. This just happened maybe a month ago or so. And she's like, oh yeah, like I'm from this area not too far away. She's like, I have my own garden, like I have tons of different flowers, and I'm an artist, and so I do paintings and stuff too. I'm like, oh wow, like that's pretty crazy. And so we like exchange Instagrams and stuff like that too. And she lives in an area where I already have some friends who live in that area too. So I'm like, I wonder if I'm gonna run into her again, because my friend Cheryl does a lot of stuff with like she does crafts and stuff too, but they usually have events at like farmers markets and stuff too. So they'll have like fresh produce, but also people who do crafts or make their own stuff. It's kind of like a market in general. And so so I met this lady and we're talking, and she's telling me like these different areas around Katsura. And I was like, oh, actually I used to live here. Like 10 years ago I lived here for a few years. And she's like, oh wow, really? She's like, that kind of makes sense because your Japanese is really good. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, I don't think my Japanese is good, but one of the things with starting conversations and just having conversations with people, my Japanese has actually improved quite a bit. And it's really cool to like see that progress, and I really only recognize it when I have conversations with people, just randomly, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I try to remember words and terms too. When I'm not having conversations, I'm trying to like write things down so I don't forget, because if I see it visually, it helps me remember better. So yeah, I had a really good conversation with this lady, made some videos, and Katsura is just very peaceful. So just spending some time just next to the ocean, just listening to the ocean, and yeah, it's so relaxing. It's so nice. And when I lived there, I used to go on morning walks for about an hour each morning before I'd go to work. And this road, it just follows the coast, and it's up pretty high, just overlooking the ocean, kind of like a rocky cliff kind of thing. And yeah, it's such a beautiful place. And so yeah, I was going there, made some videos, and I love driving. And the way that I went there that day, I took a different road than I usually take. I went through a place, it went through a town called Otaki, and then another place I went through is called Yorokeikoku. And Yorokeikoku is like a really beautiful place in the Chiba countryside, which it's kind of out of the way from the main road. But there's a certain train track that goes in the countryside, and it goes through there. I think it's called the Isumi. Isumi is the name of a town, so it's called the Isumi Tetsudo. It's like Isumi Railway. And then it connects to another railway. What's the name of that one? I can't remember right now. But if you look at a map, it goes straight through the middle of the Chiba Boso Peninsula. And anyways, Yorokeikoku is a beautiful place. And taking like this back way to get to Katsura, and another place called Okitsu, where my friend bought a beach house recently, and we've been renovating it, and it looks really cool. And yeah, I just love traveling around and making videos, and like I said, learning Japanese, practicing social skills. And that's another thing too. As I'm talking about all this stuff, I'm remembering different things that I've wanted to talk about. Learning social skills, listening to a lot of like videos, and not podcasts, but I have my YouTube playing while I'm driving, so I'm just listening to it. I can't really watch it, but listening to Owen Cook from Owen Cook Self-Help, but also Julian himself, and kind of what's the other guy's name? Aaron Doughty? I forget his last name. But I've just been listening to those guys quite a bit, and especially Owen, of just being, it seems like a very transparent person. And I feel like we have very similar mind activities because like I constantly have stuff going on in my mind and I want to do everything, but I'm like, I need to focus on the things. Anyways, it's just been really encouraging, like watching his videos, listening to his videos, and just putting yourself out there and doing things for other people and being other people focused kind of gets you out of your own head when you're, striking up a conversation with somebody. And I used to have, I used to not want to go out at all. I wouldn't say debilitating social anxiety, but social anxiety for sure. Like, I don't want to go out and like meet strangers. How do you strike up a conversation with a stranger? Like, that was so weird. That was so foreign to me. But then just like having this mindset of like, what can you lose? You know what I mean? If anything, it's like the ego in your head just like telling you these lies. It's just lies that you just make up in your head and you decide to believe them. And just kind of a breakthrough this last week where just realizing that those are lies. Like that's not real. That's fake. Like those are false truths. Like meaning like you think they're true, but they're actually not true at all. Just things that you've just telling yourself in your head, since you were a kid for whatever reason, so. But Owen said something too that really resonated with me. He's like, when I go out, I'm just pretending like I'm 5 years old again, like before you had all this social conditioning and trying to like, make yourself quiet or contain yourself, just going out and blah, just like having a good time. And like, that really resonated with me because that's how I am, like I work with kids at a kindergarten. I teach 5-year-olds, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds English at a kindergarten. And I love my job because like that's the only place where I feel like I can like be who I am, right? And it's accepted. It's actually good that I do that, connect with kids, but also being a teacher there too, and just making school like a fun and enjoyable place for these kids to come to every day. And like I love my job. I love everything about my job. Maybe not everything, but I love what I actually do, teaching and being with kids. And like the way that I look at it, like investing in kids, teaching them, it's kind of like I want to teach myself out of a job kind of thing, where it's like at my job, I get to kind of be free in that sense too. I don't have to like necessarily put on a face. Like if I had an office job or something, I don't have to wear a suit. I don't have to put on this facade type of thing. I can just kind of be myself. And also, like I said, like teaching kids, like kids haven't developed like that. Not so much anyways. They haven't developed like social anxiety, when they're 5 years old or 6 years old. And maybe there is a little bit here and there, especially for new students, like getting used to a new atmosphere, like that obviously makes sense. They're in a new environment, everybody's new, and so it's going to take them time, to warm up to that. But anyways, like just having that mindset of just pretending like you're 5 years old again and just going out and having fun and like seeing everything as like wonderful. And what I mean is like full of wonder, like, oh, look at this place, look at this. And just being, this is another thing too, just like being present in the present moment, right? Like how many times are we thinking about the past or thinking about the future? And how little, I know for myself, like how little I forget to just like be present in the moment. Like right now I'm driving through the countryside, like it's beautiful out right now. They're planting seeds for the rice, and so there's a bunch of rice paddies in this area, just little sprouts, little green sprouts of rice. And it's so green, and the beautiful trees, the bamboo, there's like flowers in people's gardens here, these houses, and just soaking it all in each moment and just taking it in. And it's wonderful. Like, life is actually wonderful. But when you're in your head and you're only thinking about things in the future, or you're thinking about mistakes that you made in your past, obviously it can be like, whoa, life sucks. Well, yeah, because you're only looking at it from a negative perspective. And if you're focused on the past, you're focused on the future, like, none of those are actually real anymore. Because the only thing that's real is what's happening right now. Your perspective on the moment happening right now. You know what I mean? Like, if you look back at the past, there's obviously positives and negatives, and you can look back at it and have an overall idea that, oh, things that happened to me in the past were very negative. Well, yeah, if you're looking through a negative lens, it can appear that way. But if you're looking through a positive lens, it can appear that way too. So it's really like, it's really up to you to decide, like, which one do you want to believe, you know? Which one do you want to focus on? Because obviously, both things are true. Good things happen to you, bad things happen to you. That happens with everybody, though, right? And same thing with focusing on the future. If you're dreading something, you know, who was it? What's his name? Wrote Tom Sawyer. Samuel Clemens, but what's his real name? That is his real name. But anyways, he says something along the lines of like, you know, the things that I like feared the most end up never happening anyways. You know, thinking about like things that could potentially, bad things that could potentially happen in the future, and you're stressed about it right now, and then it ends up like not even happening. And you're thinking like, why did I even stress? Why did I waste this present moment? And instead of having a positive moment, I have a negative moment because I think something negative in the future is going to happen. Right? Like, you have ownership over that. And if you don't know that, you should know that. You have ownership over your thoughts right now. You can choose to focus on positive or focus on negative. And it's going to influence how you experience life in this moment right now. And that's actually something that I'm dealing with personally right now. Like, it was my birthday yesterday, and I might have shared this in another video, but I'm going through divorce stuff right now, and I get an email from the courts, like on, you know, the divorce hearing or something, and immediately, like, my heart drops, my stomach drops, you know what I mean? And it's like, I haven't thought about that in such a long time because, you know, I signed papers and I thought it would just be taken care of, you know, because I did it, you know, signing the papers without a hearing and hoping that it would just go through. But obviously, like, that's not the case. So now I have to go to a hearing online. But immediately, all these negative things start flooding into my mind of like, what? Why didn't they sign it off? What's going to happen during this hearing? All these, like, think of any negative thing, like, that's what I was thinking of. And then I had to, like, stop myself in that moment because it was like a negative spiral, you know, like a negative feedback loop. And I just had to, like, stop myself and be like, I control my thoughts right now in this moment. I can choose to continue to have these negative thoughts, and they'll spiral out of control, kind of like an airplane in a tailspin, and just go down and crash, you know, and blow up into flames and just ruin my day, ruin my week. Like, I don't want that. And so I just was in the present moment, and I was like, no. And I just kind of like grabbed that thought, like, no, I'm not doing it, and just kind of like threw it away. Like, I'm not doing this right now. No, I'm keeping this momentum going of looking at things positively, not being overwhelmed by what might happen in the future. Because the future, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. It could just be a formality and whatever. It could just, whatever, no big deal. So me stressing about it right now, and then it eventually becomes no big deal, I'm wasting energy right now. Right now, I'm paying for something that's not even going to happen. I'm wasting this energy, and I could have had a good time but I rather chose to have a negative time or a negative mindset, experience, whatever. And so, yeah, it was something that I trying to take those, those thoughts captive, as the Bible says, take every thought captive. They usually use that verse to mean something else, but in all reality, if you're going into a tailspin, negative feedback loop, like, imagine yourself grabbing that thought and just throwing it away. Because, like, it doesn't serve any purpose. I did everything that I could to make the situation better, and it's really out of my hands right now. So whatever the courts decide or the judge decides, whatever, like, I'm just going to accept that. And that's part of letting go, I think, too. Just letting go of the outcome and just letting go of control. And that's another book I've been reading as well. And I'm really taking my time through that, because it seems like every page, almost every sentence or every block of text, every paragraph is so dense and so rich with very useful information, very practical information, that I can only take it in bits. Obviously, I could read through it. It's very easy to read through, but I want to actually apply it, and it just takes time. So I've been working through that book, and just like the art of letting go. Like, it is an art. It's something you have to learn, and it's something you have to practice constantly. I don't know about you. I know I do for myself. Like, I'm trying. I hesitate to say that I'm trying, because once I say I'm trying to transform into, a different person, but the whole art of letting go is to stop trying. So to stop, just stop. You know what I mean? Like, stop trying and just be. In all reality, like, just be. Just be you. Just be. But maybe just be you, but without confusing you, the essence of who you are, image bearer of God, the essence of you, the essence of God, God in you. That's you. But we confuse that with our ego, and we think we are actually our ego, and that's not true at all. Some bikers are coming into my lane. So yeah, you be you. And the more I'm learning about this stuff, the more it's like, rather than learning, it's really unlearning these programs, been programmed with, growing up and just believing certain things to be true, that now that I'm older and I'm realizing, I believed this for a very long time, and it turns out to be false. You know what I mean? Like I said, with social skills and going out and meeting people, like, there's no reason to be nervous, right? And also with that too, it's really helped me separate, how do I say this? It's helped me separate somebody's negative reaction to me with my self-worth, my idea of my self-worth. It's kind of like, I'm still practicing separating those, right? Like, if somebody says something mean to you, like, don't take it personally. If they say something mean or they do something that's mean, that's just a reflection of them more than it is a reflection on you. You know what I mean? But, like, growing up, I'm definitely a people pleaser, definitely codependent as far as, like, taking on other people's feelings and feeling like it's my responsibility to make somebody feel a certain way. And I've recently had to stop myself with that too, because I still have a tendency to slip into that. And I probably still will in the future. But now that I'm, like, recognizing it for what it is, again, like, taking those things captive, taking those thoughts captive, and realizing for what it is in the moment that it's happening. And working with kids, I see it so much more clearly, because we have our new class. They just started. They're 3 years old. They're learning school life. They're learning, they have to change out of like their school clothes into like their gym clothes, or change their outdoor shoes with their indoor shoes, because being in Japan, they take their shoes off. Anyways, so these little kids, they're trying to do it themselves now. It's been a month, however many months. They're trying to do it themselves, but some of the older kids will come up and want to help them, and their idea of help, it's like they're doing that task for that other student, which actually, for the other students, like, it seems like they're helping, but as an adult, if they do that for the younger kid, like, the younger kid's never going to learn how to do that for themselves. And so we've actually had to stop some of our older students, like, let them do it themselves. Like, thank you for helping, but they have to learn how to do this themselves. And so, like, taking that visual, taking that idea, that concept, and applying it to me or you or anybody who's dealing with people pleasing or taking on responsibilities of other people, taking that concept and applying it to that makes it so much easier to realize. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a coworker that's, they're not like doing the tasks that it's their responsibility to do, and you start doing that for them, first off, in their mind, they're going to be like, oh, well, this person's going to do it for me anyways. And then they're not even going to attempt to do their responsibility, like their tasks. And so, and also, if you're doing it for them, you obviously don't want to be doing it, but you probably in your mind, you're like, oh, I'm helping them. But it's actually not helping them, because you're just teaching them that it's okay that they do that, because you'll do it for them anyways. And so, for me, I've had to distinguish, like, I'll help you, help meaning like, we're both going to work on this and I'll help you out. That's help. Like, help me lift this heavy object. I'm still going to try to lift it, but come help me lift it. Both of us together will actually be able to get it. Rather than like, hey, come lift this thing for me, and then you come help, and then they leave, and now you're holding the heavy thing. Like, that's not help. That's that's deflecting responsibility. Like, that's delegating your responsibility to somebody else. That's not help. So yeah, I've just had to like catch myself in those moments too. Because being a people pleaser, empath, whatever, like, obviously I want to help people, but I've had to take a step back and be like, it's not my responsibility to take on other people's responsibilities. It's not my responsibility to make somebody feel good, or to make somebody feel... It's not my responsibility. Like, other people's feelings are not my responsibility. That's their responsibility. Just like I'm responsible for my feelings. If I'm angry, I can't blame it on some other person. Like, that's for me to regulate my own emotions. And so if that's true for me, then that's true for the other person. And if I'm trying to take on and try to make them feel a certain way, that's actually... I'm actually, in that moment, I'm kind of like a thief, right? Because I'm stealing that responsibility from them. I'm taking that from them. Even though they're willing to give that away, like, it's not mine to take. So it's a lot. I've been learning a lot. I've been practicing a lot. I feel like I'm growing a lot. But at the same time, I feel like I just get very impatient, because I want to be there, right? But also learning to enjoy the process of becoming, right? Of like, you want to become this other person, and even having that mentality, it kind of having that mentality like you're lacking something, like you're not good enough, and I do struggle with that sometimes too. And so I've had to remind myself, like, no, it's good where you're at now, And where you're at now is constantly trying to grow, constantly trying to improve. But maybe, like I said, I keep saying trying. Maybe stop trying and just be. I think that's the truth. And yeah, and I've realized the things that I believe, between beliefs, thoughts and actions. If I can change my actions. I can do the right thing for a period of time. But if I still have like a belief system that I'm going to keep going back to those actions, that I keep trying to change the action rather than get to the source and changing my mind or changing my mindset, like that's where the true change really comes. And so just having the proper mindset, and then your actions will follow. That's what I think anyways. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. I don't know. If you're watching this and you have an idea, you can write a comment about it too. But yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot, but I feel like I haven't grown at all. So, in some ways. But yeah, that was a lot. Anyways, it's been really good, just like I said, just listening to other people's stories, Owen, Julian, Aaron, like listening to their stories of like how they used to be reminds me of how I used to be, and like kind of how I am right now at the moment. And so it actually kind of gives me some hope, just kind of like seeing where they're at, and I'm like, man, like they seem like they're doing pretty good. They seem like they're doing all right. That's good. And another thing too, Owen talks about business a lot, and just like the business strategies, business mindset, all this stuff, like and kind of like reclaiming who you are, right? And like I remember when I was a kid in junior high, actually in elementary school, I was a very good artist and drawing pictures of like, Mortal Kombat characters when I was in, elementary school, and then like Dragon Ball Z characters when I was in junior high, because that's when it became really popular in like the late 90s. And I used to sell those. I would draw pictures, I would color them with like these special gel ink glitter pens, for like the Super Saiyan, they would have like the gold hair. And I would sell those for like $1.50 or $2. And I was like a little businessman, so I was like, man, like I used to be very business minded, selling those at school. I used to mow people's yards and get like $30. When you're 11, 12 years old, like $30 is a lot of money. At least it was back then. And just listening to these videos, Owen, and just getting all these like different business ideas, and actually journaling my ideas and writing them down. It's amazing what gets done if I write it down. Different goals that I have. And I have so many different goals in so many different areas of my life. And so, but if I only think about them and I don't write them down, then I'm gonna forget them. So I have to write them down. And the crazy thing is, if I write it down, it tends to happen. It tends to come true. It tends to become a reality. And I was reading through my journal, and it's last year in January, I was still in Arizona. I was still living in my cousin's office, like room, the kids' playroom. And I was journaling. I was listening to Bob Proctor a lot too, and Lewis Howes, and what was that? Manifesting, The Secret, that type of stuff. And just kind of like, where do you want to see your life? What vision do you have for your life? Like, what do you want? Right? And like, I wrote down tons of stuff, and I was very specific, and kind of having timelines for each thing too. And granted, this is my journal last January. And maybe a month ago, maybe, I have so many different journals, and I picked this one up and I'm reading it. I'm like, oh wow, like I wrote this over a year ago, just a little bit over a year ago, and maybe like 70% of those things had come true, like are now a reality. The car I'm driving right now was one of the cars that I wrote down on that list. And, you know, there's a few other cars that I want to have, but I feel like that's a little bit later on. Once I get established, you know, later on. But yeah, so the car, the house, the job. Right now I'm renting a house, but I want to buy a house too. And I was talking to my dad about that today. I was talking to my friend, you know, who I stayed the night at his house yesterday in Tokyo. He's working on developing or like renovating his house, either rebuilding or renovating it. And so just surrounding myself with people who are like-minded with that too, because those are things that I want to do. Like I want that to be a reality. And I journaled about it, and now I'm surrounding myself with people who are like-minded. The likelihood of that happening for me is extremely high. I don't know how to do it right now because I need my residency to get a mortgage or whatever in order to buy a house. But I know what I want to do. I just don't necessarily know how exactly right now. So I'm looking at different options. I'm saving as much money as I can. I'm learning business aspects of, I might be wrong on this, but I heard something about like if you have stocks or something, you can take out a loan against your stocks and not have to pay taxes on it. I could be wrong about that. Like I said, it's something that I heard, and this is all very new to me. And so I'm learning different strategies of business on how to make things happen that I want to happen. And really just taking ownership of, and that's the whole thing that I was learning, just like taking ownership, like having a vision, having goals, and taking ownership of like life, like you make it how you want it. You really do. Like if you want something, first off, you have to have a goal. You have to, like, what do you want? Where do you want to go? Just like a roadmap, you know, we have our GPS on our phones to get to where we're going. Where's your destination? Where do you want to be? And then reverse engineer that, you know, like, who's that? Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Of like, begin with the end in mind. You know, like, have a goal. Like, where do you want to go? And then baby steps, how are you going to attain that goal? Because obviously you want it, it's way over there. You can't just take a giant leap, you know. You have to figure out incremental steps, you know. So for myself, there's so many different things that I want to do. And I can be very impatient at times and feel like I'm making zero progress. So for me, and I love this concept, and I don't know who originated it, but I love it. It's just 1% every day. Just 1%, just a little fraction every single day. Just becoming better 1% every single day. So whether that's social skills, for me, social skills, or learning Japanese, using Japanese, business ideas, my English business, you know, I've started an English channel on YouTube. What else? You know, like the real estate stuff that I really want to happen. Alright, the video cut out, so I'm recording the next day. I was in the middle of talking about, me and my friend Hiro had talked about doing some sort of like tourism, like being tour guides in Tokyo. And this last weekend, we had my birthday, and we were hanging out, talking about stuff. We're both really into like real estate. He's got a house, he's renovating, stuff like that. I'm really interested in either finding a place in Chiba or a place in Tokyo, like in the city or in the countryside. Still kind of in the middle of thinking about it right now. I think it would be more beneficial to be in Tokyo because I like Tokyo everything is there. And the neighborhoods that I'm interested in finding a place, they would be quieter neighborhoods. Like Tokyo is the largest city I've ever been in, one of the largest cities in the world. But there's still pockets where it's just very quiet. It's almost like a little town within a larger city. And I've never lived in a huge city like that. Right now I live in Chiba City. It's not, there might be similarities between Chiba City and Tokyo, but in Tokyo there's everything is there. Trains are right there, taxis, buses, everything we have in Chiba, but just in a closer proximity. And so yeah, kind of doing the tour guide idea I think would be fun. Also, when I have family members, friends coming to visit, being in Tokyo is so much more, it's so easy, just fly into the airport in Haneda rather than Narita. Narita is actually Tokyo Narita Airport's technically in Chiba, and then it takes an hour, hour and a half to get to Tokyo from Narita Airport. But flying into Haneda, like that's in the heart of Tokyo, and so it would just be easier having friends, family members come visit, and just being able to provide a place for them to stay, picking them up at the airport, and you're already in Tokyo, versus being in Chiba and having to commute hour, hour and a half just to get there. So, and to be honest right now, yeah, I'm just saving my money and still looking for places to purchase. It would probably be about a year, I think, to get a decent amount of money, either for a down payment or it would have to be for a down payment. I don't think I'd be able to afford paying it outright in cash. So, yeah, and right now, today I'm actually driving back from work. So I'm trying to remember what my train of thought was from my video yesterday when it cut out. And I've been trying to be better about clearing out enough data on my phone to record these long form videos. And I thought I had enough space, but I guess I didn't. I'm even recording this in 720 rather than HD. But yeah, it's actually really enjoyable for me doing these videos. It's more of like self-reflection, because I usually watch these again before I post them, just so I can pick up on things that I'm doing that I want to, like fine tune or adjust. I've noticed I say like a lot, and that still bothers me. So I'm trying to use more descriptive words. But in the process of doing that, being in Japan, learning another language, and speaking two languages, I speak English regularly at work, but then I speak Japanese when I'm out at the grocery store, going shopping, whatever. And so switching back between two different languages, it can be frustrating sometimes because I'll forget a word in English, but I know the Japanese word, and vice versa. I'll forget a Japanese word, but I know the English word. And when I'm making these videos, it's actually good. It's good for me because it kind of keeps me on my toes and just to keeping things fresh in my head. Yeah, so earlier in the video that I recorded yesterday, I said Samuel Clemens. I was trying to quote. It's Mark Twain. It's definitely Mark Twain. I forgot his name. That's so funny to me. Yeah, so things like that. I just get, you just can't pick it up quick, you know. So yeah, it's a price to pay for learning another language, but I'll pay it. I don't care. Oh, so yeah, I'm just driving back home. The street has a monorail. You can see it in the background right there. The monorail. When I moved here, back in 2012, I taught at a junior high school in this area. And one of the places, not this junior high, but another junior high that I taught at a little bit further away, I used to ride the monorail in the mornings. That's pretty cool. You know what? I take that back. That was a different train line. I would take the monorail. Me and my friend would go to a jazz bar every Tuesday or Wednesday. His friend played in a band, and they'd play at this bar named Clipper, and kind of like a boat, or like I don't know, like a Clipper captain or something like that. Anyways, it's like boat themed, ocean themed. It was a really cool place, and he's a really good musician, and that was a lot of fun. That was my friend Ryan. We used to work at the same company, and we both moved here around the same time in 2012. He's from Minnesota. Good guy. He's very, very high level Japanese. It's really good to, we were very close friends at that time, and he was very helpful in getting me to learn Japanese and kind of push myself and do the Japanese proficiency test. There's 5 different levels for the proficiency test. I've talked to him a bit recently, and now he's learning Mandarin and Korean. His mind is just on a different level than most people. He can just pick things up and just do it, which is pretty amazing. I'm a little bit jealous. but no, he super encouraged me to continue studying and doing it's called the JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test. 5 different levels, N5 being the easiest, and that test is actually this summer. I need to remind myself later to sign up for that, because I want to pass that. I could probably pass the N4, but my grammar is really garbage, so I wouldn't feel comfortable taking that. I wouldn't want to fail it and have to retake it, so I'll just take the N5, because I know, actually I don't know if I could pass that. I hope I can, but anyways, I'm going to study for it, for the grammar portion. The kanji and the vocabulary, it's not an issue for me, the N5, but the grammar points, that's my weak spot. I speak in broken sentences like a 5-year-old, but people love me and they can understand me here, so I'll just take what I can get. But yeah. Oh man, it's a nice day today. It's a bit overcast. It's a nice break from yesterday. It was super warm. It was really muggy. It was overcast yesterday, a little bit rainy, but it was really muggy. Yeah. I was listening to more podcast, YouTube videos by Owen Cook. I usually listen to him on my drives to and from work. Try not to listen to it too much, because I want to keep a balance of listening and learning new things and actually applying it. And just keeping that healthy balance of learning and doing, not just learning just to know something, but to actually apply it practically in your daily life. And yeah, it's still bothering me, this the hearing for the divorce finalization. So I've been currently reading a book called Letting Go. I think the author is David R. Hawkins. And one of the things to do when letting go is to feel your feelings and not label them as good or bad, which is hard. And it's just made me realize how often I just disregard my feelings and put it off and procrastinate, and I'll feel that later, put that off for later. I need to keep doing what I'm doing right now. And that used to work, but now I don't know, I can't really seem to do that anymore. It's it'll still sit there, and it's kind of like a feeling in my chest. This particular feeling, I don't know, for whatever reason, I feel it in my chest, and I don't like it. But that's the whole part why it stays there, is because I say I don't like it and I want it to go away, instead of just embracing the feeling and feeling your feelings, man. No, but seriously. Um, yeah. So I've been practicing that, and just practicing breathing techniques and meditation. Meditation is, I've done it before and I understand why it works, but it's just hard for me to get into it, which is probably why I should do it. It might be beneficial. So yeah, it's just calming your mind, calming the storm, the cyclone, tornado of thoughts, and yep. Yeah, I'm kind of running out of things to say. I had that momentum going yesterday when I did that video, and now it's kind of slowed down a bit, and I'm trying, like how I'm feeling right now is I wanted that to keep going, but I don't remember where I was going with it, and now I'm just kind of like, I don't know what I should talk about. But I don't want that to be a cop-out, and I hesitated even bringing it up, because pointing it out just makes it kind of worse in some cases. But I'm just using these videos as kind of a journal to kind of document just where I'm at in my life. And this is where I'm at in my life. And this is where I'm at in this particular moment right now, May 19th, 4 p.m., almost on the dot. This is me not knowing what to talk about. Oh, man. No, I just love life, to be honest. It's difficult sometimes. I don't understand being a human at times, but it's a beautiful existence. And you take the good with the bad, you take the confusing with you take the known with the unknown, the familiar with the unfamiliar. It's kind of a balance, right? Like, doing things that are unfamiliar, doing things that are unknown, that could be adventurous, it can be really fun. But at sometimes, you just kind of want to take a break and just kind of rest. But I'd really like to get used to just taking a rest or taking a break in the unknown and just being comfortable in the unknown. Because just thinking back, when I was younger, that was just a lot more fun, of just going on adventures and not having a plan. And now that I'm older, when I don't have a plan though, I prefer having a plan, kind of striking a balance between the two. Having a plan, but being open to just being free within that plan. And I think that's the way to go. When I used to teach, it's called, was it Freedom Within Limits? I used to coach parents, like how to be, just different parenting techniques. Even though I'm not a parent myself, but having worked with kids for, at that point is around, 6 or 7 years. And these particular parents, had their kids taken away from the system because they were either, domestic violence, substance abuse, stuff like that. And so I was working with DCS in Arizona. So yeah, just teaching like this parenting style of like freedom within limits. And so for like having plan and just being open to other things and being a bit free within that plan is kind of the same thing, of doing whatever you want to do, but having kind of a plan to fall back on. But yeah, so it's kind of like this striking a balance between those two is kind of like what I'm typically trying to aim for. Especially more recently, I've really enjoyed having a plan, going places. Like I went to Kamakura, going to Tokyo. I have some friends who are going to be visiting, or a coworker friend from Arizona who's going to be visiting Tokyo. And so just kind of putting together plans, itineraries, stuff like that. It's just fun. But even doing that, just allowing space in that itinerary, in that schedule, to just have space between things that you want to do, to just kind of relax a little bit. For myself and, my friend Ryan, who I just mentioned earlier, when we would go explore Japan, it was non-stop, balls to the wall, full force, straight ahead, Ramming speed, Mr. Nemo, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We would just, go anywhere and everywhere and not slow down. I remember one time we were running through Tokyo Station, running through Tokyo Station to catch a transfer train, connection train. And in Tokyo, there's trains come every 5 minutes. I'm like, Ryan, why are you running? Like, where's the fire? I'd say that sometimes. Where's the fire? What are you running from? Why are we running right now? Like, Ryan, where's the fire? He's like, life is the fire. And he just kept running. I was like, fair enough. Like, let's go. And that's so true. Like, life is the fire. There's so much to do. Like, life is awesome. There's so much to do, so many things to be explored, so many adventures to go on. But I'm getting old and I'm tired. But it's energizing when I go do things. But I end up paying for it a little bit later. And so usually it's things, when I get exhausted, it's usually doing things that I don't really want to do. So I'm being a bit more, what's the right word? Being a bit more selective in how I utilize my time and the things that I agree to do. Whereas before, being a people pleaser, wanting people to like me, all this other stuff, like, I would just agree to things that I didn't really want to do because how I would be, portrayed, or how people would, think of me. And now I'm just getting to the point where I just say, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm really trying to get to the point where I just say no and not give any explanation. Just no, like, oh, why? Do you have other plans or what? And no, I just don't want to do it. So that's so foreign to me. I never do that, but I'm starting to. And it's actually kind of nice. I used to feel like a jerk, but actually, when you're straightforward with people, they actually appreciate it more than if you say you're going to go and then you flake out because you really don't want to go. Yeah. And I used to do that, but I'm not doing that anymore. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm just going to do it. Because usually, more recently, if I say I want to do something, I actually do want to do that thing. When I'm planning it, a few days in advance or a week in advance or whatever, and then the day comes, like this past weekend, the day comes and it's raining out and it's super windy. And I'm like, man, I don't want to deal with this. I get really lazy. There's something I want to do, but because of the weather, like, I'm going to let the weather hold me back. You know what I mean? I'm going to let the weather hold me back from going to Tokyo, and it ended up being a great time. And that's not the first time it's happened, like the story I mentioned earlier. I went last week where I met the Yakuza guy. That was another rainy night, and I almost canceled plans that night too. And I'm like, dang it, like, that's a thing for me now. I need to be mindful of that. Like, the weather's trying to hold me back, but I'm not going to blame the weather. I take ownership for that. I just need to be more, whatever the word is. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So, anyways, I think this is time. It's been 20 minutes now. I think that's enough time to reach an hour. And I'm approaching my house, too. Anyways, that's it for now. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And, I don't know, leave a comment if you're interested. What are things that you're learning? And another thing, where are you from? You know, I'm in Japan right now. I'm from Arizona, you know, from the United States. I'm interested to know, whoever's watching this, where are you from? What are you learning? What are some changes that you've made in your life? All right, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.